the Rusty Tin Hotel offers a profound exploration of the multifaceted experiences of young Zulu women as they grapple with the challenges posed by modernity and tradition. Set against the backdrop of post-apartheid South Africa, the story follows a group of young women from various backgrounds as they navigate life. Author Nomali Zondi joins us now for more insights. Nomali, thank you so much for joining us, and a very good evening to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Very happy to be here.
And it's an absolute pleasure to have you, the Rusty Tin Hotel. Talk to us about the reasons why you wrote this book, any of your own experiences that you penned down in this book in ensuring that you sort of tell these stories in a way that you wanted to.
Yes. So the Rusty Tin Hotel was inspired by me being born and raised in Inanda.
Right.
And as everybody knows, the news that come out of Inanda are crime against women, violence. But I wanted to give a balance. I wanted to tell the positive story of how girls there are still very much resilient and moving forward and charting their way through life behind the backdrop of these hard times.
Speaking of these hard times, many of them are still designed behind post-apartheid, that a legacy of apartheid. Talk to us about how that influenced your own life and how you've had to navigate within the times of democracy, but also just having the ramifications of apartheid still lingering within your communities.
First of all, when I look at the place that I'm from, I always believe that we haven't healed from apartheid. So most of the stuff that we find ourselves in are results or are direct results of apartheid. So I wanted to tell a story that gives hope and a story that focuses on the positivity of the history in Inanda, because Inanda is very rich in history. That's where Nelson Mandela voted for the first time. That's where John Langalbalele was born, Prixley Gaseme, Noctela Dube, and the likes. So I wanted to shine a light on those people and motivate us and tell us that we are bigger than this because the people before us fought the struggles and they conquered. So this is a story of conquering.
Speaking of conquering and just some of the struggles that they experienced, but also the struggles that young women in those areas continue to experience. Talk to us about the traditional cultural expectations, the nuances of witchcraft that still exist within those communities and how that translates into this book.
So I'd like to focus, my main focus was to focus on the magical thinking, right. That if I don't succeed, is because so-and-so has done this to me, you know, so because I feel like that lingers a lot, and I always believe that that came with colonialism. I believe that it was never there. I believe that my people respected women, so I wanted to focus on that. I wanted to focus on the matriarch and the tradition of respecting a woman and knowing that the woman is the giver of life, so you must respect her and you must value her because she's like your God on earth. So that's why I wanted to bring that into the book. I wanted to run away from witchcraft because I don't believe that it's who we are. I believe that it's just a magical thinking, and I believe that it holds us back too. It holds you back from pursuing whatever you want because, oh, I'll never succeed because somebody did this to me. So I wanted to break that cycle of believing that your path is not going to be clear because someone has done something to you.
Speaking about clear paths, I mean, the book also tackles a lot of difficult topics: rape, sexual abuse, abortion. How often do we find that putting these subjects in literature, in some of the conversations we have within our communities, really resonates with those that are perpetrating some of these grievous acts upon women, such as rape and sexual abuse? Do you find that we are getting the message out there as much as we should be in order for these to stop?
First of all, I believe that we don't talk about the subjects hard enough. And I believe, I try to be very vivid in the book. I try to talk about rape and how it violates a woman. And the idea behind that was to get the men to kind of like understand how deep the hurt is. Because I always believe that victims victimize people. So if I could tell the other person that this is what you do to me when you rape me, or when you hit me, I believe that something is going to happen and change the mind, because I don't believe anyone was born to inflict pain on anybody. I don't believe that that's what somebody wakes up and say, I want to do. So, but I believe that it's because we don't talk about the pain that comes with it. We don't kind of like make each other understand the pain and the hurts that comes with it, and the long-term effects of it, and how that could be passed down to our kids, and then it becomes something that we call a generational curse, which is something that we could have been avoided just by sitting down and being real with it and talking about it from a real point of view.
Most certainly. Speaking of that real point of view, from those who've read the book so far, what have been the responses and the reactions and just some of the feedback that you've gotten?
So the funny part is that because I've dealt with the rape and hard times in the first chapter, which was very intentional, because I wanted us, I'm tired of a place where people are just like putting everything under the carpet. I wanted to start with it and just bring it out and say,
this is what is
happening, and here's what's going on. So I've had a lot of guys, funny enough, coming back to me and saying, I just couldn't get past the first chapter. I'm so shaken by it. So it's always me saying, go on, it's nicer. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So it's, the response has been very good so far. And people are loving the history that I've kind of linked to the girls and to the story. And yeah, so it's been very good so far.
Yeah, and speaking of the girls, I mean, just the bond that you see in the book amongst these females and how they're able to navigate life and go through some of these trials and tribulations. It's Women's Month. How would you implore women to find those sisterly bonds and be able to work through life, be it in their social lives or even just within the homes, within corporates, with those sisterly bonds to carry them through?
First of all, I'd like to, the idea was to get rid of the misconceptions that we don't get along. Yes. As soon as like we're in a space, we don't get along. I wanted to show that we do get along, and there is love. We just have to form them, and we just have to make them stronger, and we just have to be real with each other and talk about our pains, and not think that it was, if I go to Nomali and tell her the story, then she might see me inferior. You know, be comfortable with each other, because I feel like that's what creates the bond. The bond is to be vulnerable with each other. And then if you're not vulnerable as sisters, who are you expected to be vulnerable to?
True. Lastly, how important is it for us to tell our African stories? How would you implore other people, men or women, to be able to take their experiences and to put them in a book in order for the next generation to know and understand where it is that we come from, so that they can learn from those lessons and just experiences of life?
First of all, I'd like to say that as a girl from Inanda, I don't believe that anybody has told the story that I was able to tell, because it was from a first-hand experience. So that is why I always believe that people should write their stories and not wait for someone to write your story, because only you can get it right, and only you can be real and honest. And I feel like if you write from your perspective and your point of view, then everybody else will be able to relate and understand you and hear you, because the idea of writing is to give you a voice.
Of course.
Is to place your voice. I'm a young girl from Inanda, and I'm voicing myself. And that's the most important thing. Voice yourself.
Nomali, thank you so much for your time, but also just thank you for being so open and authentic in this book, so people can truly know what it's like to come from Inanda and take on those experiences. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure. That was author Nomali Zondi of the book, The Rusty Tin Hotel.